See that? Grabbing, physically grabbing her, applying pressure, pushing her. Look at Brittany Griner.
Every fan knows about Caitlyn Clark's recent injury, the one that sidelined the league's biggest name. But what if the shocking truth behind her sideline absence isn't about bad luck, but something far more sinister? We're talking about a player deliberately targeted, slammed, and shoved game after game, right in plain sight. And the people paid to protect her, they simply watched. We've unearthed the explosive footage, the damning evidence, and the pattern of neglect that led directly to her being sidelined. This isn't just about a missed call or even a bad game. This is a spiraling catastrophe for the WNBA, exposing a systemic failure where their most valuable asset was left unprotected, left to bleed on the court. Get ready, because the full story of this unforgivable betrayal and the referee at the heart of it all is about to be laid bare.
Funny looking at all this, every single Caitlyn Clark hater is like, that was a clean play. It wasn't a clean play. Like, you cannot pretend you are not watching basketball. It was not a clean play.
When the Indiana Fever finally announced Caitlyn Clark would miss at least 2 weeks with a quad strain, the league acted quickly to manage the narrative. Just a minor setback, they insisted almost dismissively. Nothing serious, she'll be back soon. But for anyone who had watched Clark over the past few games, a chilling, undeniable truth was already taking hold. Something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. The signature, gravity-defying lift in her shot had visibly vanished. Her explosive drives to the rim, once fluid and fearless, now looked stiff, almost agonizing. That lightning-quick first step, a hallmark of her game, simply wasn't there. Observers, astute fans, and even sports analysts began connecting the dots, piecing together a mosaic of hidden pain. Heating pads became a constant fixture on the sideline. Compression wraps cinched tight around her leg during timeouts. Yet, through it all, she was still out there, gritting her teeth, playing through what was visibly obvious discomfort, trying to project an image of normalcy.
Look at how close Ryan Howard playing her. This is crazy.
The truth, now seeping out from behind the carefully constructed PR wall, is far more disturbing. Reports confirmed the quad strain wasn't a sudden acute injury. It had been bothering Clark, a silent, deepening agony since training camp began. She had been literally grinding through this injury day after day in her rookie season simply to stay on the court. This wasn't just dedication, it was desperation. Desperation to carry a fledgling team, to live up to the monumental hype, to prove she belonged in a league that was already benefiting immensely from her mere presence. Her body was waving a white flag, screaming for relief, but the weight of expectation, the relentless schedule, and a baffling lack of protection from the league forced her to push past all logical limits. All of that built up to one fateful moment, one brutal game, one prolonged stretch of shocking, uncalled physicality that finally pushed her body and her spirit past the point of no return. But what actually happened on the court that night? The footage tells a different, horrifying story.
When you allow this kind of behavior in your league, someone is bound to get hurt. Eventually, the WNBA needs to protect its players. Caitlyn Clark deserves better.
It didn't take long for enraged fans and independent sports analysts to start digging, and what they unearthed from that Atlanta Dream game was utterly ugly. Leaked footage, now flooding social media platforms, has ignited a full-blown firestorm across the WNBA world. The clips are sickeningly clear. Clark is seen being physically grabbed by her jersey, yanked violently off balance, and body-checked with the blunt force of a hockey collision, not a basketball play. One defender, in a move that defied any semblance of legal defense, actually wrapped her entire arm around Clark's waist, appearing to intentionally try and bring her to the ground. This wasn't aggressive defense, it was a blatant, deliberate beatdown. And here's the most infuriating, gut-wrenching part. The referee, the person paid to uphold the rules, was right there. Front row seat, perfect view, watched every single violent maneuver unfold, yet remained utterly silent. Not a flinch, not a whistle, no call whatsoever. Fans are screaming deliberate targeting. Respected analysts are condemning it as dangerous play that has no place in professional sports. And now, even some players who typically remain stoic in the face of officiating controversy are starting to speak out, suggesting the league's deafening silence in the face of such clear fouls speaks volumes about its priorities. This wasn't an isolated incident, a single rough night, or an unfortunate missed call. It was a visible, undeniable pattern. It was the moment Clark's pre-existing injury became inevitable, a culmination of weeks of unchecked physical play with zero protection from the officials. And the more angles that surface, the clearer the horrifying truth becomes: this wasn't an accident. This was allowed to happen. But what happens when the blame starts shifting? When frustrated fans and a questioning media begin pointing fingers directly at the people who were supposed to step in and prevent this? One name is now at the very center of it all, and the league might not have a choice but to finally act. Now, the swirling outrage has crystallized, focusing with laser precision on one specific individual. Multiple angles of that damning leaked footage reveal something truly shocking, something that demands accountability. There was one referee positioned in perfect view, directly witnessing Clark get slammed to the hardwood, yet doing absolutely nothing. Not a flinch, not a single movement towards the whistle, just standing there, passively observing, as if the brutal contact were a perfectly acceptable part of the game plan. That singular non-call, that stark inaction, has now ignited full-blown outrage that threatens to consume the league. Sources inside the league itself are now whispering that internal reviews have already begun, a frantic scramble to contain the damage. And while nothing has been made official yet, early reports suggest that this very referee, an official who has been curiously involved in several other controversial games this season, could finally be facing a suspension. The league, in typical fashion, hasn't named names publicly, clinging to a desperate hope of controlling the narrative. But online sleuths, those relentless digital detectives, have already done their work. The clips are being meticulously spliced, widely shared, and slowed down frame by excruciating frame. Fans are painstakingly putting together a damning highlight reel of this specific ref's worst moments. And Caitlyn Clark's name, the player consistently receiving the harshest treatment, is at the undeniable center of every single one. Even former WNBA players, legends of the game, have weighed in with scathing condemnation. One called the footage nothing short of criminal negligence. Another stated unequivocally, if this happened in the NBA, that ref would have been gone by halftime. This isn't just about missing a foul anymore. It's about a disturbing pattern of silence, a deliberate inaction that directly led to a star's injury, and potentially millions upon millions in lost revenue. And now, with the public spotlight burning brighter than ever before, the WNBA is being backed into an impossible corner. Someone, it seems, has to take the fall. But if you think this entire scandal is merely about one rogue official, think again, because the real problem runs far, far deeper, and it originates right at the very top. Let's strip away the carefully constructed PR and be brutally, painfully clear. Caitlyn Clark isn't just another player. She is the undeniable, singular reason the WNBA is suddenly everywhere. Before she even played her first official professional game, Clark had already made history, reshaping the entire landscape of women's basketball. Preseason matchups that once barely registered a blip on the national radar were suddenly, miraculously, nationally televised events. Her merchandise sold out overnight, a frenzy unmatched in league history. Ticket prices, once stagnant, tripled and quadrupled in cities across the country, creating unprecedented demand. And when the season finally tipped off, the numbers screamed an undeniable truth louder than any analyst could. Out of the 24 games that cracked 1 million viewers in 2024, a staggering 21 of them featured Clark. Games without her averaged less than $400,000, a stark, undeniable contrast. She is the ratings machine. She is the walking headline. She is the league's one-woman economic engine, responsible for a financial explosion that has captivated the sports world. And yet, inexplicably, shockingly, the WNBA treated her as if she were disposable. There was no superstar whistle, no extra layer of protection afforded to players of her immense value. Not even basic foul calls were consistently made in her favor. They allowed defenders to shove, to hit, to grab, and to harass her game after game after game, as if she hadn't single-handedly transformed the league's entire financial future. Consider the stark, infuriating contrast. While the NBA meticulously protected its golden legends, a quick, immediate whistle for Michael Jordan, special treatment for LeBron James, immediate calls for Stephen Curry, the WNBA left Clark completely exposed, out there to simply survive on her own. And now, they are paying a steep, unforgivable price for that colossal misjudgment, because when your golden goose is allowed to be brutalized and goes down, the entire system shakes, and the tremors are already being felt across the league. The fallout doesn't just stop with lost credibility or outrage. It's already manifesting in tangible, measurable financial consequences. Caitlyn Clark hadn't missed a single game in over 8 years. From high school to college to her rookie WNBA season, an astonishing 185 straight games. That kind of durability is almost unheard of in modern basketball, and now that streak is tragically over. Not because of a freak accident, but because the league failed to do its job. The WNBA had one mission: protect its golden star. Instead, they left her exposed. They let the fouls pile up. They let the abuse continue. They ignored every single warning sign until her body finally gave out. And now, the league is scrambling because the consequences are stacking up at an alarming rate. Revenue is down, ratings are in free fall, fans are furious, coaches are speaking out, and the media spotlight is getting hotter by the hour. This was a completely avoidable disaster. All they had to do was treat Clark like every other superstar in every other league. Blow the whistle, call the foul, set the tone. They didn't, and now they're about to find out exactly what the WNBA looks like without Caitlyn Clark. The next 2 weeks will be brutal. The Fever without their floor general